And what's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek,
And I'm Kevin.
and we're last week's album. We're bringing you two opinions on the best new music, and this week we're looking at Vestiges Claws by José González, and we're wondering, how does José González as a solo artist compare to his work with Junip? But before we go any further, we're going to start things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Kevin and everyone at home.
Cheers, Derek, and everyone at home.
All right, so José González, he is of Argentine descent, but he is born and based in Sweden, and he's in a band called Junip, who's released a few albums. Their 2013 self-titled album, Kevin and I reviewed here at last week's album, but prior to that work, José González has had some solo work. In 2005, he released Veneer, and in 2007, In Our Nature. And he was actually studying for his PhD in biochemistry before his music career took off. Because, I mean, seriously, what active musician didn't start off in biochemistry? I don't know. So there's kind of a little bit of background. And if you do know of another musician who started off in biochemistry, leave us a comment. We would love to know that. So this Argentine guy from Sweden, let's talk about what he sounds like. Kevin, what did you think?
Sure. I think that Vestiges and Claws, at least, sounds like the guitar work of Nick Drake, the lofty lyrics of Iron and Wine, and the hushed dynamics of Simon and Garfunkel. What do you
I like that. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think Vestiges and Claws sounds like Damien Rice and Tallest Man on Earth dropping heady folk that won't have you running for the dictionary to follow what the heck's going on. So there you have it. Some folky references for all you folks. So that brings us to key tracks. Kevin, what did you have?
I'm going with the second track on the album. It's called Let It Carry You. What about you?
That is a great one. I'm actually going with the fifth track, Leaf Off / The Cave. So Let It Carry You is going to carry us first. So why don't you send us off?
Sure. This one opens up with a really driving, syncopated, bassy guitar line that sort of carries throughout the song. There's layered vocals. There's some background guitar noodling. There's a really cool soft bridge with just layered voices and acoustic picking. And that's when he really drives home the message of the song. He says, quote, "The beauty of being here at all," which I interpret as a sort of, take time to stop and smell the roses message. And later he juggles and sort of rejiggers all the song's elements, voices calling back and forth. The beat comes a little bit more to the forefront, and the guitars sort of mix and mingle. And overall, a chill yet surprisingly upbeat vibe. And he really takes his time with this track to let it build and fully flourish. So that's why I'm digging Let It Carry You. So check that one out. Derek, tell us about Leaf Off / The Cave.
Leaf Off / The Cave shares a lot of the same characteristics as you described there on Let It Carry You. I definitely thought this one was one of the more upbeat or brighter sounding tunes on the record. Once again, a very prominent bass string, heavy acoustic guitar riff for the most part. This is accented with higher register riffs, more so over the chorus. There's some subtle percussion going on, hand claps, some shakers. The chorus is, kind of introduces a, more robust guitar riff, if you will, not just the bass string type riff. And it features layered vocals that just repeat, "May the life lead you out," which, again, I think, Kevin, that goes back to what you're talking about, the theme from your key track. That one line is very prominent, kind of repeats a number of times. The verses, though, are more diverse, more understated, as it features only José's lone vocals. And the lyrics, again, stress the importance of accepting facts of life. Maybe you can't truly live until you accept all the facts and circumstances surrounding your life. Just an example lyric, he says, "Why can't you take the leaf off your mouth? Now that you have the facts on your side, take a moment to reflect where you're from. Let reason guide you. don't let the media guide you. I don't know. That's a little my own commentary, if you will. Overall, the sound ebbs and flows into a warm, fuzzy ball of positivity, musically and lyrically. So I just really dug that one for a number of reasons. Now we've kind of talked about some lyrics. Why don't we talk about the best lyric? Kevin, what struck a chord with you?
Nice pun there, Derek. I actually chose a line from the song you're talking about, Leaf Off / The Cave. And he says, see old tracks take you out from the dark, see old tracks lead you up to the stars. And I thought that was an interesting perspective on things, that maybe your old ways can actually take you somewhere new if you can sort of reflect on them objectively. So, really nice thought-provoking sentiment. What was your best lyric, Derek?
Man, Kevin, great pick there. I think there are a lot of cool things lyrically going on there. Even slightly alluded to in the title there, / The Cave. But I digress. My best lyric comes from a song called The Forest. And he says, why didn't I see the forest on fire behind the trees? And it's just kind of this slow, deliberate delivery here, kind of playing on the age-old Zen theme of seeing the forest through the trees. But here, the forest is on fire. The forest is on fire! And he's not even throwing exclamation points on there because he can't see it behind the trees. I just thought it was very thought-provoking. I like the imagery, and forest fires are bad. Remember, only you can prevent them. So that brings us to overall rating. And Kevin, before I toss it to you, again, I'm just going to reiterate the big question we're looking at here. How does José González as a solo artist compare to his work with the band Junip? And overall rating?
Overall, I'm going to give Vestiges and Claws a 2 out of 5, as much as it sort of pains me to do that. I think he's super talented. I just think he's more talented than he's putting on display here with this album. There's not much bad about it, but there's not much new about it. I think the best parts are when he tries new things, more percussion, more ambitious vocals, a few new instruments like flute and cello and drums. And I think these push him into a little bit more upbeat space, which I feel like is appropriate. He's got optimistic lyrics, but sometimes the music kind of weighs it down and almost makes it feel sad. Compared to his work with Junip, I much prefer Junip. I just feel like it has more variety, more dynamics, more moods, more everything. And I think at the core, González is clearly challenges himself with Junip more than he does on his own, and I think that pays off in spades. So, yeah, a 2 out of 5, as much as it hurts me. I'm definitely looking more forward to what he's going to do with Junip next than on his own. But what do you think, Derek?
Kevin, I'm doubling you up. I'm going 4 out of 5 here. I think he makes some good points. I think a big thing here is, José González himself as a solo artist, which I think also comes across a lot on Junip, has this very unique sound. And I really think it permeates his solo work, his work with Junip. His acoustic guitar playing is fantastic, very percussive stylistically, and I thought on this album, especially compared to his previous solo work, there was a lot more subtle percussion, percussive instruments in the background that really adapted well to his percussive style playing. Overall, I think there was a lot of nuanced subtlety, that went on here, and was a little hard to notice. Not too far off from his work with Junip, but I thought overall here it was kind of sparser and therefore kind of a little more nuanced in the way it was constructed. But I think those were good things. On the bad side, I think, you can definitely make the argument, and I think you did here, his sound itself is very, he doesn't stray too far from his solo work previously. But at the same time, I think you're exactly right. He kind of pushed himself lyrically. There was slightly more instrumentation. The cello, the flutes definitely stood out to me. I also think a lot of critics here kind of chastise him for asking these big questions but not really answering them, and I think that's a little bit unrealistic. So we're expecting these singer-songwriters to come up with put together melodies, rhythms, and ask big questions. Now we're asking them to answer them as well. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think the fact that he's asking these questions and forcing listeners to also think on these subjects is fantastic. Maybe the answers, if José González did provide them, maybe the critics wouldn't like it, and then where would we be then? So overall, I think this is a step forward. Maybe not a huge leap, but at the same time, I think you know, José González's work in itself is more about the intimate and subtle and nuance, and not big, grandiose gestures. So I'm thinking, to answer the big question, I do like Junip's work because it is more diverse, you know, more instrumentation, but at the same time, I don't think that necessarily detracts from José González's work as a solo artist. So I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. So there you have it, 2 from Kevin, a 4 from myself, so that is in total a 6 out of 10. So you should maybe go check this out, or if anything, check out the next Junip record, or go check out our review on the last Junip record, and then go check that one out. But thanks again for joining us here at last week's album, where we're bringing you 2 opinions on the best new music. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on any of our other social media outlets. And until next time, we'll catch you all later. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Derek.
And I'm Kevin. See you next time, guys.